But the NBA was about the coaching carousel. I think it was 3 coaches, maybe not 4. It just feels like 4. It seems like they're all just kind of flying all over the place. But your boy, Doc Rivers, did get fired after the 76ers lost to the Boston Celtics the other night. And the Suns coach, Monty Williams, also got fired. And we did talk a little bit about the fact that the Suns brought on Kevin Durant. They were trying to win now, and they're in this weird, precarious place. They were in the NBA Finals 2 years in a row, but they had 2 early exits. And Doc Rivers is a coach, I think, and we'll get to that in the stat of the week, a little tease. He has not really been able to win the big one. He's lost a lot of big games. And I want to ask you, if you're an executive, how much time are you giving a coach and how many disappointments are you giving them? Because I think today, long gone, are those times where a coach gets a lot of leeway if he's not winning right away.
It's similar to what we were talking about with business, where everyone's driven by the almighty championship. And I get that's the goal at the end of the day, but it's very similar to what Giannis said. Like, only one team can win the championship. So you're telling me like that everyone else's season's a failure? No way, man. Like Doc Rivers he's an organization stabilizer. Look what he went in and took the Clippers and cleaned them up and got them back to relevancy. Went into the Sixers, cleaned them up, brought some stability, and is able to manage some of these tough personalities and things like that. And I think that gets overlooked just because they're not winning championships. I don't know why people think just by changing the coach that you're automatically going to improve your chances to win a championship. There are very few coaches out there that are worth that much, that are going to move the needle that much. And especially in basketball, like I've said, I just don't think there are that many guys that are going to come in and make that much of an impact. There's a reason they change these coaches like people change their underwear, and they keep the players, right? It's a lot easier just to, okay, get rid of this coach, bring this coach in. And it's usually player led. The change that happened in Phoenix, Kevin Durant had a big part in that happening. These players kind of handpick their coach, and I guarantee you more often than not, it's who's going to come in here and use me the way I want to be used, or who's going to come in here that I know and have a relationship with that's not going to be breathing down my neck all the time and my life's going to be easier. I guarantee you that's 90% of it. When is the right time to pull the plug on a guy? When you feel like the organization is no longer moving forward. If you feel like it's gotten stagnant, that might be contrarian to kind of what I've been saying, but I think that they're so impatient in the NBA. If you come in and you make the playoffs 3 years in a row and maybe you advance to the next round, let's say 2 years in a row, you lose in the conference finals, you shouldn't get fired for that. I mean, you're in the conference freaking finals. You're going to tell me you got this magic answer, this guy you're going to bring in, that next year he's automatic, surefire thing? Like, wouldn't you say, hey, like, I can retain this coach and I'm guaranteed, theoretically guaranteed to have a shot to be at least in the conference finals, or I fire him and bring in somewhat unknown commodity and assume that's going to be better. I just don't I don't know why people aren't content accepting really good most of the time. I don't know why they're not willing. It's like if you told me that like the Colts 5 out of 10 years they were going to make it to the AFC Championship, but there's no guarantees on a Super Bowl, whatever. Like, I would take it. I would take it, man. At least you're in the conversation. At least you're putting yourself in position to advance and win a championship. And I don't know. I mean, I get it. It's a lot easier to change the coach, like I said, than change the players. And that's why these coaches bite the bullet most of the time. They don't make as much as the players. There's not, it's a lot cleaner to fire the coach and manage one ego as opposed to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that you have on the team.
Well, because you're not going to trade the star player, and the Bucks aren't going to trade Giannis, so of course they're going to get rid of the coach. I think Doc Rivers is an easier target because of the fact that he's lost so many big games, and like I said, I teased that about the stat of the week later on. But he has been on the losing end of a lot more bigger games and series than he has won. Monty Williams was interesting to me because 2 years ago, when the Suns made it to the final, he was the story. He was such a feel good story, and that franchise had been longing to get back to relevancy. And then last year, getting blown out at home in the clinching game. And then this year, not being able to get it done against the Denver Nuggets team, who is really, really good. They have what should have been the MVP in Nikola Jokic, who, as of the end of the first quarter in game one against the Lakers tonight, had 8 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists in the first quarter. So he's doing pretty well for himself. So it's nothing to sneeze at there. And they brought in Kevin Durant mid-season. you can't just forge chemistry in the middle of the season. You need to give it some time. And there's a new owner there. He obviously wants to win a championship, so he gets rid of this guy. And to your point, who are they going to bring in that's going to all of a sudden do the job? And this guy has gotten the team to the finals. I just don't really understand where they're going with all of this. And the sad part is, Monty Williams will probably get a job with the 76ers. He's probably going to take over Doc Rivers' job. And for all we know, Doc Rivers could be in Phoenix, right? So that's how recycled the coaches are. And it does kind of lend to your point that there are a lot of coaches in the league that just don't make that much of a difference. And I think the coaches that do make a difference are on the teams that they are on, and they have been there for a long time. Like, I'm not sure if you know this, but your boy Eric Spoelstra, 7 straight conference finals now. So he's not going anywhere. But I ask you this. Think about Marv Levy from the Bills. Went to 4 straight Super Bowls, lost them all. He'd be gone in today's NFL.
No, I don't think he would be. I think the NFL is different. I think more often than not, you make the playoffs in the NFL, you're usually safe. I think, and I think that coaches in the NFL pull more weight. They have more clout than in the NBA. You're not going to have. It's not often that you're going to have the star player get the head coach fired. Maybe Aaron Rodgers got Mike McCarthy fired in Green Bay, possibly. But like, other than that, I mean, can you think of too many where like the star player pushed out the head coach?
Not really.
Yeah,
Jason Garrett had that job in Dallas for what, a decade
yeah,
and
Marvin
won
Lewis
0
in
playoff.
Cincinnati, man. Like, my goodness. I mean,
That's a fascinating case study because I've always found the dichotomy between those two situations hilarious. Because one franchise is the Cincinnati Bengals, who hadn't been relevant in a long time. So sustained playoff appearances was like winning a Super Bowl for them because what they had had before then was nothing. The other franchise is the Dallas Cowboys, who used to be the darling of the ball, haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. Jerry still thinks that they're relevant, but they're a national brand. I just don't understand how Jason Garrett kept that job for 10 seasons with literally nothing to show for it for a brand that should be championship or bust every single year. There are certain franchises in all of sports, the Yankees, teams like that, they're championship or bust. And you do have to start looking at what's not working if you're not at least advancing to close to the championship round. But a lot of the other franchises, they haven't done anything. The Phoenix Suns haven't been relevant for 20 years. And so you get to the conference finals, that should be enough to save your job for more than 2 seasons. They got to the second round 2 years in a row. Where else can they go? What else can they do? You get rid of the coach, but the players are the same. Does it really matter? And that's the part I don't really understand about this NBA stuff. And I think, again, your point is super valid, and you got a lot of shit for that take because everybody pointed out all the coaches that actually mattered. Well, guess what? They're the ones who've been with their team for 14 years, and there's a reason for that because the currency that they provide from all the winning that they've done saves them. But if you're Doc Rivers and you had 3 years to turn around the Sixers and you didn't get past the second round, you're out.
but even like Phil Jackson, right? Probably renowned as the best NBA coach ever, I would assume. He had Michael Jordan, and he had Kobe Bryant and Shaq. I mean, I, he had the best player in the game at the time when he was coaching. He had Michael when he was with the Bulls and a great supporting cast. He had Kobe when he was with the Lakers and a great supporting cast. Um, you can't now. I'm not going to say you could have automatically plugged whoever else in there, but the Bulls did pretty well even prior to Phil's arrival. I mean, they were up and coming when Michael was younger, with Doug Collins. I mean, and yeah. I mean, Phil comes in right when they're hitting their stride. I just think that more often than not in the NBA, coaches ride the coattails of the stars, and it's probably more of them placating the stars to stay employed than anything else. I don't. I mean, what they call Phil was the Zen master, right? I think his job was just to manage the personalities, keep everybody happy.
And that's not really dissimilar from what a lot of coaches do these days. Steve Kerr makes his money because he keeps that core together. He keeps them happy. So maybe your point is valid. If you disagree with Coach, don't forget to call or text the show. The number is scrolling on the bottom of the screen and is in the show notes. We would love to hear some opinions on this because Coach does not believe that NBA coaches are as meaningful as a lot of people will make them out to be. I think NHL coaches might actually be less meaningful because
It's
Man,
possible.
that the Dallas Stars coach has been the head coach of like 7 teams. So he's been around.
NBA, NHL coaching, very similar dynamics for sure. No doubt
Un-
about it.